there is a God and you should live like it. Ha ha ha. They could not believe that a speaker would say.
Charlie Kirk is absolutely right about that. There is a God and you should live like it. He does not, however. He's really not somebody, if you're a Christian, like if you're truly a Christian. You really don't. Remember how Jesus had said to the Pharisees, listen to what they say, but don't do what they do because they're hypocrites. They do something other than what they say. So Charlie Kirk's sort of even worse than that because, well, he not only says falsehoods, but then he, is it just a total phony? And I'm just wondering, because I know that there's many people being led astray by him, especially on college campuses and with the evangelical community, the Protestant community. Sadly, the three biggest, major denominations have become worldly. They really aren't even following God's word anymore. But I'm just wondering when it comes to Charlie, because he's sort of a special egg. He really is. Because he runs around the campuses and says that the fertilized egg should be allowed human rights. So, I mean, if I was going to be able to debate Charlie, but he would never be able to go against somebody that has wisdom. Okay, but anyway. But if I was, I would ask Charlie, how does he justify being a Christian and claiming all this God stuff and Jesus stuff and Bible stuff, yet then says, well, no, I'm going to go with the science when it comes to the life issue. How do you think that will work out for Charlie? Just curious. I mean, it's one thing to be led astray by people like him, but he's literally trying to lead people astray. So how do you think that'll work out for him? Because when it comes to the biggest thing ever that God did, I mean, what comes to mind? Life, yeah. I mean, that is his domain. No science would have their life. No Charlie would have their life. Nobody. Whether you're an atheist, no, but you wouldn't have it without God. That is his deal. That is his show and nobody else's. But Charlie Kirk, the unwise man that he is, the juvenile that he is, gets on these college campuses and in front of these evangelical congregations or these big faith groups, okay, and says that human rights need to be given to the fetus. And God doesn't even see it as a life yet. It's undeniable. Thank goodness I've had some Christians comment, and like real Christians that agree, that have said, oh yeah, no, the church has been teaching wrong about that forever. Even my mom said to me, she says, oh no, the Catholic Church has always taught that wrong. It's very obvious in the Bible. Yeah, but see, what's more amazing is that the very process that God describes in Genesis 2:7 is literally what happens when the baby is born. It's remarkable that way, that literally what he said is what happens. It burns the inside of the nostrils, causing the baby to cry because it burns, and then spitting out the fluid from its lungs, thereby becoming breath. So God literally gives the soul and life at that moment. But Charlie Kirk, the man who's claimed that he's an evangelical and a Christian and wants you to live a godly life, runs around and tells everyone, I'm going to disregard what God says in Genesis 2:7. And I'm going to wrap it around somehow that, well, God's forming it. Yeah, but forming it and it have the breath of God in it are two different things. So even though I know some Christians are just being led astray by this, and maybe God won't see it as, as a sin, although, you would think that when it comes to the life issue, we should at least get it right there. I mean, but, it's been very designed. This has been the wicked one's most craftiest job he's done is this one on when life begins. But for people like Charlie who know that they're literally driving people in the wrong direction, I'm just wondering, Charlie, how do you think that's going to work out for you? Because that God that you have said that you were going to disregard what he says when life begins, and you're going to go with the science, and yet you've led all these other people astray. What do you think he's going to do with you? Well, we know what God does, or at least the real Christians do, and that is that, well, God gives life through his breath, and, well, he withdraws breath to end life. And one day we're all going to be judged, and I just wonder how Charlie Kirk will explain that to the biblical God. Good luck, Charlie.